Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of our Fundamentals for Success podcast. I'm your host, Cody Morris, and this is my guest this week, Gloria Zaldivar. This week, we're going to be talking about the fundamental appreciate differences. That's fundamental number 21 for us. And I brought Gloria in as our Director of Team Member Growth and Success. She's over recruiting, hiring, training, development, pretty much anything HR related, she's involved. And so, welcome, Gloria. We're glad to have you.
Thank you, guys. It's good to be here today. I'm excited about this being the first time for me. So
yeah, first time on a podcast. There we go. That's fun. So we're talking about appreciate differences. And so I'm going to read the fundamental real quick so I don't lose any of the verbiage and intentionality behind the way it's written. And it says, appreciate differences means listen for and pay attention to the things that make people different. Everyone has a special and unique purpose, gifting, skill set, and perspective. Leverage your differences for even greater total team success. And so part of the reason why I asked you to be on the podcast today in HR and the hiring and recruiting stage is, I imagine that you have to use appreciate differences as a fundamental for success every day.
Yes, absolutely. Especially when you're trying to find the talent, out there where you can't just do the whole cookie cutter thing. Like there's no such thing at Diamond C. There's no such thing. It shouldn't be that anywhere.
Right.
There's so much value in really bringing in people that feel good about the strengths that they bring to the table instead of let me focus on the things that is wrong with you instead of what's right with you. Right.
Absolutely. Right. Everybody's got their unique strengths and the unique perspectives. And like it says, gifts that we can bring to the table. And so, when you see this fundamental and when you think about when it comes around, we do a fundamental of the week, and that's kind of our weekly podcast, fundamental of the week, our cadence here. But when this fundamental comes around, what jumps out at you? What do you think about when you first hear appreciate differences?
Well, honestly, the first thing that comes to my mind is just like, how do you empower people to really embrace who they are, And I feel like in the culture that we're trying to set and what we were living and breathing right now is just, I'm not worried about what you're not. I'll worry about do you know how valuable you are as a person and what you bring to Diamond C and what you could bring. And those of the people that are out there somewhere, trying to find their home or trying to figure out what's my next step, man, I remember coming to Diamond C and thinking, I don't know if, this is going to be for me. I don't know if this is the right fit. I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, but then I started really digging deep into just getting to know people and trying to figure myself out and getting to know other people. Like, do I do this thing this way because this is what expected of me? No, it's like, Gloria, I want you to envision something and I want you to make it happen your way. And I was like, whoa, that's a lot of empowerment to me. So that in turn gave me the opportunity to empower others as they came into the team and just, be able to develop them and help them to do what they wanted to do for the better of the entire team.
Right.
So there was so much value in that.
So you're finding success by understanding your differences in a way, to appreciate your own differences. Yes. And then, as in the hiring field, right, how do you expand that? And you talk about how do we empower people? How do you do it? How do you take this puzzle piece of applications and resumes and phone calls, and you look over here at the nearly 600 job positions that we have not open, but total between filled and unfilled, and try and piece this puzzle together with everyone's differences. Like, how do you do that?
I think first is just getting to know the person. I learned really quick that I wouldn't go through that hiring process like the whole questions and answers. I just make a person feel comfortable. Come in, I want to really get to know you. And if you give them the opportunity to, first and foremost, even when we go to setting an interview, we give them the opportunity because obviously we know where they're at in their life. They're obviously either a parent or they're, in the middle of trying to figure out what the next career is. So we coordinate with them as to we're flexible and we help appreciate the fact that we understand you, but we also want you enough to want you to be here, present. So we work with them and we want them to come in feeling comfortable. The second thing we do just right off the bat to appreciate who they are is to make them feel comfortable once they're in, because every interview is different everywhere you go.
Right.
We don't want the same old answers that you would give. We want to get to know you in the conversation that we have as to who you are, not what can you do. It's who you are that'll help you do what we want you to do. And so that's it's critical for us to get to know you in those few minutes that we have with you, because that lays a foundation, not only for us to get to know you, but for them to really appreciate, okay, you know what? I want them to feel empowered in the moment that they're there, because they're like, okay, I feel a little better. I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because I know that's what it was like for me when I first came in. That feeling of
nerves and anxiety.
Am I in the right place?
Yeah.
And just, trying to figure out this whole feeling of, is this for me? And this not for me? And then going in and thinking, okay, I feel better now. And then you kind of let loose and you start really sharing who you are, even in just the way you act, your body language, the way you smile, the way you look at people, or you laugh at things, the jokes. I'm really bad about pulling jokes out of nowhere, but and so the way you appreciate them is just helping them, make them feel comfortable in who they are.
Absolutely.
And I think that oftentimes we're just so focused on finding that particular thing, cookie cutter, and I don't think that's how it should be. I think we should really embrace the fact that they are uniquely different from everybody. And I think that's what makes a valuable team.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can't imagine working for a team or being a part of a team that everybody thinks alike and everybody's the same thing. And like, what is the fun in that? Because I know that if that was the case, I'm the biggest weirdo out there. So I just wouldn't want that, right?
No, I mean, there's no personality in having 12 cookie cutter team members who, all had the exact same experience, resume, education, all of it, right?
Yes. So I think that's where the ideas come from.
Absolutely.
And that's where, we're a part of a team where you have the person with the vision, the person with the ideas, the person that strategizes it all, plans it out, executes.
There you go.
I love it.
There you go.
Because that's what makes it happen, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's made it happen from 172 team members when I started to 556 team members today.
Absolutely. And how many open positions do we have right now?
Like 22.
22. So 562 plus 22, we're looking at 588.
I mean, we're looking at 600 by the end of the year. That's probably easy. What it looks like.
Into the summer, right? Yeah. So that's great. And so bouncing off that, we talked about kind of in our preparation coming up to this, we talked about this idea of team construction and how it's so crucial to have differences on the team. And you talked about cookie cutter, and I think you had a great analogy with the soccer team. You said you used to coach and you used to coach soccer. I wanted you to share that with our listeners on the analogy of why it's important to appreciate differences in team construction. So I mean, even now I coach a U6 team, and nobody wants everybody on the field to just be a goalie. First of all, you can't use your hands on the field. Right. And second of all, it's just, you have to know who goes where and at what time, right? You have your goalie, you have your defense, you have a midfielder, you have a forwards, you have the people that are going to score the goals, you have people that avoid people from scoring the goals. You need a little bit of everything to make a phenomenal team. Right. And I think about my soccer team. I mean, you coach people, you train them, you do that, but at the end of the day, who performs well where, and at the right time. And that's what I think we should, and that's where you empower. I mean, like I said, I love the word empower, because that's literally where you empower people, is where you start digging deeper into what they're good at, what they're most comfortable with. In education, it's that whole concept. I heard this many times. It's like, you never ask a fish to climb a tree, because if you do that, they'll always feel like they're failing. Absolutely. So for me, it's like, even here, when you interview someone, if at that moment they start talking and I start realizing, okay, you know what? I know you came for this role, but listen, I got something else for you. I think this would work better. And man, it's almost like a light bulb, right? Yeah. Through strengths coaching, whenever I was going through that, I started really digging deep into just even understanding my own strengths, because I think even in leadership, if you don't know what you are good at or what your strengths are, then how can you empower other people's strengths? How can you appreciate who they are when you don't appreciate even yourself? And I think as a coach or as a mentor or as a leader, that's where you start really, okay, you know what? I appreciate what they bring to this meeting, or appreciate what they bring to this organization. I appreciate what they bring to this community. So there's a lot of value in that. Absolutely. That's great. That's a great perspective. And I love how you talk about, you don't want 12 goalies, right? No. And so, to me, that kind of branches back into, my next question, or where I wanted to go is, whenever we are using this fundamental, we see that chemistry and that synergy, and you think about in a team, and when you really have everybody in a perfect spot for their role and they're coached well and all the fundamental success, you see that, the business term is synergy, but in sports they're going to call it chemistry, where it's the same thing, right? Yes. Chemistry, the relationships and all that. Yeah. And I think it's so crucial, and so many people don't ever really, don't really analyze, but maybe we don't really give the respect to the differences in the roles they play and having them in the right spot. Because, you know, in theory, you could have all the right people here at Diamond C, and if you make them get all up and do a different job, this place is going to fall apart tomorrow, right? And so I guess the question, and this is a tough one, but what can we empower people, and what can we tell them to help them take this fundamental and start being better about appreciating differences in their personal or professional lives? Like, how can I be better about appreciating differences? What are a couple things that I could do to appreciate differences or to be more aware of the differences around me and utilize those?
Well, I think that first thing is like, you have to be open-minded. You know what I mean? Like, you can't go into something, whatever it is, just closed-minded is just my way is the right way. I mean, I think that from the very start, if you're open-minded, if you listen well, which is one of our fundamentals too, and if you always assume positive, you know, like intent, like those things are valuable when you start creating a team. And in doing that, I feel like you gain the trust and respect of your team members, colleagues. I mean, even when you're a leader, if they don't feel like they're appreciated for who they are, then they quickly lose complete trust into, do you believe in me? And do you believe that I'm going to be successful? Because if they start, I mean, even in my own personal experience, if you start feeling like you're not, you know, the right fit or doing the, you know, if you're being set up in a place where, oh, this is not my comfort, like,
right,
then you quickly start feeling like you're not being successful.
If you put a goalie at forward, right, real quick, they're going to be like,
yeah. And so the whole thing about, you know, everybody's good at something. And I think people forget that they're good at something because they've been told so often that, sorry, you ain't cutting it, or you're not good enough. And I think when you start appreciating their differences, then you start giving them value. And then not only that, but in turn, you start feeling like you're developing them into the team member or the leader or whatever it is that wherever role you're in that they need to be. And I think there's so much, like I said, there's value in helping people do it and keep an open mind, because that's one of the things that I've seen where this fundamental fails is when we come into something narrow-minded and just already assuming the worst, right? That's not the way it should be, you know.
Right.
And we're all guilty at one point or the other, and that's where I feel like you know, in the role that we're in HR, it's like we often have to figure out, okay, let's think about this and let's look at it from a different perspective, from a different lens. You know, the empathy comes in, you know, that human connection comes in when you're trying to appreciate these differences, where you're trying to figure out, like, what do I do in the situation that I'm in to better help this person? And then you take something out of that and they take something out of this too. And so I think it's a learning experience for all of us. Sure.
And I mean, you reminded me, seek thorough understanding is another fundamental. And you know, you were referencing that there when you talk about really looking at all perspectives, understanding, and, you know, in the HR department, it's crucial, right? If you have an issue or someone's, you know, unhappy with something that happened or needs help with a personal problem, you know, we really have to be able to seek thorough understanding of the full and, you know, come to a resolution that's best for everyone, you know, and that was our fundamental last week in our episode, create win-win solutions, right? And it's funny because every time we do these episodes, we keep getting these situations where it's like, you can't talk about one fundamental without bringing in 5 to 10, 20, all of them. And that's the reality. And you talked about appreciating differences, and a light bulb went off when we talk about celebrate success. And it's like, you know, appreciation in a way is that celebration of those differences and setting people up to be successful, but then also acknowledging the talents that they do have. And you're right, like so many people in this world and through life, we go through and we're trying, as adolescents and young adults and young professionals, and I mean, even into your career, you're still evolving and changing and trying to find what you're good at and what you enjoy. And over time, those things change and you get better at certain things and your weaknesses become strengths. And, you know, if we're not appreciating that, or we're not using this fundamental to be successful, then we're not giving the people the opportunity to grow. Absolutely. Right? We're not, and, you know, and our purpose is to fuel the team members' growth and success. It's in your title, team member, you know, director of team member growth and success. And so that was one thing that really jumped out at me. What you were saying is that if we don't allow them the room to grow and really appreciate and celebrate their skills and their unique talents and do the best we can to create those win-win solutions to put them in places where they'll succeed. So you don't have a goalie in a forward position, right?
I mean, you could, but you know, that whole master of one, right? So.
Yeah, right. Jack of all trades versus master of one. Yeah. So let's wrap it up. What would be some, for, I guess let me rephrase that. In our daily lives, we're constantly in Diamond C, me and you, we're trying to live these fundamentals the best we can, right? But even you said it, we're all falling short at some point, right? Absolutely. Even during the day, human nature kicks in every day. We have to remind ourselves. I mean, we constantly do it, right? Watch your language, speak straight, assume positive intent, call the meeting. I mean, we probably use 10 a day minimum, just as accountability and checks and balances. But what would be some signs or some examples where when people look around or a way someone could check themselves to say, I'm not really appreciating differences here. Maybe there's an example or an instance where I need to be able to recognize that I'm not living this fundamental. Do you have any insight or experience in that? I mean,
I guess for me, it's a hard one, but I guess for me in my personal experience, sometimes we have team members that come in with, absolutely no experience in a role that we're looking for, we're seeking. But what they bring is this energy of, I want to learn, I'm coachable, I'm willing, I'm driven, I just need an opportunity. So if we only focused on what people call hard skills only, like, can you do the job? Yes or no? Oh, you can't? Sorry.
Right.
We're not appreciating the fact that what they have inside of them totally outweighs the fact that they can't floor a trailer yet. We can teach you that. It's the other part we can't teach. You know what I mean? And Absolutely. That's where I feel like we need to value and appreciate the fact that they are who they are. And that's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for those people who are hungry for them to just grow. And me, one of my strengths is a developer. And maybe that's the coaching in me, the teaching in me, but I feel like that's where you appreciate, like, it's those strides, those little, what's called those little baby steps that they take into developing into the person. Like, even just myself, 5 years ago, I'm not the person that I was then as I am today. And I think it's been a lot of other people appreciating my differences, coming in, like, I was just trying to figure it out, right? And then just learning. I can't imagine if they wouldn't appreciated the baby steps or the little milestones every time we hit 300 team members hired. We hit, recently, not too long ago, we hit 500. I mean, celebrating those milestones, celebrating those moments of, hey, there was a lot of adversity, a lot of challenges, but guess what? We waded through, we celebrated those successes, and we're thankful because we might not have done it the normal way, but we did it in a way where it only showed progress and growth. And I think that's with anybody, from the team member that comes in, for the candidate that comes in, that becomes a team member that learns a job on the line or in the shop or in the office, to someone who's in here right now that's trying to find, hey, what's my rhythm here? What's my tune? And then kind of getting them the chance to appreciate them and show them. So for the ones that don't, the ones that struggle with that every day, back to your question, is just, I would challenge them to really dig deep into themselves. Like, do you know what you bring to the table?
Right. Yeah.
Do you take time to show who you really are, or are you trying so hard to not? I don't know. It's like, are you being who you are?
Yeah.
And in that, are you empowering others to be the same? And in that, I think that when you give other people that, when you give yourself the opportunity to succeed and fail, you give other people the same opportunity, because through all these moments you grow. And that's me, 5 years, a lot of growth, lots of growth.
Absolutely. Well, Diamond C is rapidly growing, and so
we don't have a choice.
Yeah, it's like, it's grow or die, right? Like, I mean, that's the way that's going right now. Is just keeping up with everything, and like you said, with all the positions we've added and the openings, and I mean, we wouldn't have any other way. It's a lot of fun, and keeps us preoccupied for a long time. But yeah. So to wrap it up, as Gloria said, whenever you see and you feel yourself not appreciating what you bring to the table, or you see yourself not seeing the value in your team, and we talk about, fundamental success, or in terms of leadership development, or, personal development, start really paying attention to and do an analysis of the people around you, and really look and be like, have I really ever thought about Gloria's strengths and what she's good at, and what she brings to the table, and really leveraging that, right? Lead through your strengths. Perform through your strengths. All right, that's part of your strengths coaching that you do through the Gallup Strengths, is use your strengths to your advantage. Don't focus on your weaknesses. Appreciate your differences, but then also appreciate everyone else around you. And the first thing you have to do is seek to understand and learn seek thorough understanding, right? Listen.
And human connection.
And human connection. I mean, all of them, right? Practice human connection, right? So, Gloria, I really appreciate you coming on today. A lot of great stuff, a lot of great opportunities for everyone to kind of appreciate differences of fundamental success back into their personal life, back into their professional life, and apply it, tomorrow. But if I want you to leave with anything today, I want you to take away that, one, everyone has unique value, right? And for you to be successful in a team, you need players, you need team members that have different skill sets, different values to bring, right? We don't want 12 goalies. That's what we're saying. That's my theme for this is like, if you field a soccer team full of 12 goalies, the other team may not score, but I can promise you're not going to score either, right?
That's right.
Also, that's against the rules probably.
Yeah.
Second, work on appreciating those differences also means empowering, right? Keeping your differences and your value to yourself, not successful. Not empowering your team or the people around you, whether it's your family, your children, your coworkers, your supervisor, or the people that you lead. Empower them, appreciate their differences, find their differences, and tell them. They may not know. They may not be appreciating their differences. And so as you go back into your work life and you go back home and you watch the fundamental and you think, how can I appreciate differences and really be successful in leading myself and be successful in all avenues of life? I think it's crucial that we have to appreciate ourselves and the value that we bring. And we also have to appreciate each individual's unique talent. That's all for this week. So thanks, Gloria, for coming on and really giving some insight on how we can appreciate differences. Until then, join us next week for our next episode of the podcast, our Fundamentals for Success, where we talk about being relentless about progress. Until then, y'all have a good one.